Right. According to Hebrews,
Attacked by the guy down there.
well, according to Hebrews chapter 10, verse number 10 to 18, we find very clearly Paul.
I'm sorry, chapter 10, what?
10, Hebrews chapter 10, verse number 10 to 18.
Oh, 10 through 18.
10 to 18, where Paul is saying that normal.
I don't think Paul wrote it.
Well, okay, well, Hebrews is telling us anyway.
Right.
That if he didn't write it, who wrote it then?
You want my quick theory?
Please.
Just really, really fast.
Before I go to my main question.
I think it's a sermon
Okay.
that Paul preached in Hebrew
Okay.
that Luke wrote down in Greek
Okay.
because it's Luke's grammar and vocabulary.
Okay. Well, according to Luke, in Hebrews chapter 10, verse number 10 to 18.
Welcome back to Quarantine Apologetics, defending the faith while under lockdown. I'm Allan Ruhl. You just saw a clip of Dr. James White talking about the authorship of Hebrews. It was a Hebrew language sermon by Paul, translated into Greek by Luke, and James. James White believes in sola scriptura, okay, which means scripture alone is his infallible authority, which means he's his own authority because he interprets the scripture, and he'll go to heaven or hell based on how well he interprets and follows it. So anyway, that's beside the point. The point is, why do you make up these theories? Why? Tradition? Why do you discount sacred tradition? And by the way, there's a lot of sola scripturists who think Paul wrote Hebrews, and they don't have this homily in Hebrew theory. Why don't you just stick with the church? Why don't you just stick with the church? Let me show you something. In 382, at the Council of Rome, Pope Damasus says the following: the epistles of Paul the Apostle in number 14, to the Romans 1, to the Corinthians 2, to the Ephesians 1, Thessalonians 2, Galatians 1, Philippians 1, Colossians 1, Timothy 2, Titus 1, to Philemon 1, to the Hebrews 1. Not a sermon that someone transcribed. And in James White, his favorite council in the history of the church, the Council of Trent, said the following. It's talking about the New Testament. Of the New Testament, the four Gospels, according to Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, the Acts of the Apostles, written by Luke the Evangelist, 14 epistles of Paul the Apostle, 1 to the Romans, 2 to the... Anyway, he says 1 to the Hebrews. But why do we do this? We're a religion of tradition. We have our tradition. Some is in the scriptures, some is out of scriptures. And the fact that Hebrews is anonymous, but the tradition says, look at Rome, 382, Pope Damasus. And there's other places in tradition where it says that, but I don't think it's anywhere. This is just James White's machination, his just concoctions. James, we need to get rid of this attitude that we can make up these theories. All it does is discredit the Bible. Do you think that Muslim who was asking you that question had a higher view or a lower view of scripture after you proposed your novel theory? No, let's just go with what the tradition says. It's a letter by Paul that he chose to keep anonymous. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. I mean, was he just trying to show how smart he was? Because I don't think anyone bought it. It's like, well, it's a Hebrew sermon that... No. It's written by St. Paul, as it says in the Council of Rome in 382 and the Council of Trent in 1546. Anyway, I hope everyone knows here that Paul wrote Hebrews. It's not some sermon that Luke wrote. No. It is strictly written by Paul, and there are many saints in the history of the church that have given reasons why he may have chosen to keep it anonymous. We don't know that for sure, why he decided to do that. I think Thomas Aquinas says that he had such a bad reputation with the Hebrews, it would be very off-putting. But there's not unanimous on that, so we're allowed to do that. You know, that's like exegesis almost. But to say, oh, it was a sermon, and the sermon was in Hebrew, but Luke wrote it down in Greek, and I don't know. Just stick with what the Catholic Church says, not James White, especially on the Bible. Anyway, quarantine's coming to an end slowly, hopefully soon, and everyone stay safe, stay healthy, pray the rosary, and God bless.